And hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault, and it is the Legacy Leadership Show. Without Adrian today, I am going it alone because my friend Peter Mingils and I go back so long, so far, so unbelievably deep that I thought you would enjoy the show more if we did that than the other way around. And I think you're going to have a blast today. Peter has been with me and on boards with me for a long time. And we started our life together at something called the Association of Network Marketing Professionals, previously called the DRA, the Distributor Rights Association. He was the president. He was the boss. I was just a little subservient mouse, and here we are. So how we doing, Peter?
I'm doing
What's
great.
going on?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me on your radio show.
Talk to me about your life, Peter. What have you been doing for the last? I think we've been away from the ANMP now for a few years. And what have you been doing in that period of time?
Well, it's been a dozen years, believe it or not. A dozen.
12 years.
Yeah, something like that. Yep. So when um, separated myself and was separated by the ANMP, the Association of Network Marketing Professionals, I kind of said, I'm done with the trade associations because I just didn't see that they were pushing in the same direction that I wanted to push. They had a different agenda, and I didn't do anything. Well, relative to the industry, still actively pursuing the stuff that I was pursuing in the lead generation business, and podcasting became available. So we started Building Fortunes Radio. And then there was a gal, her name is Doris Wood, who was the original founder of the MLMIA, and I know who they are. And because we're going to call this a legacy leadership radio show, I'm going to give some people that are the newer crowd or those that have bad memories some of the memory lane things that happened with the MLMIA and the DRA and the ANMP as we get started. But what I decided to do was I wanted to make sure that the network marketing industry, from my perspective, had a voice. So we started Building Fortunes Radio because I've always liked the word building. I've said that there's three different types of people and personalities. There's your builders, your maintainers, and your destroyers. So I wanted building. Fortunes was the stuff that everybody was looking to build. So buildingfortunesradio.com. And then I started to do some radio shows with our customers. So lots of people from the MLM world. And then I also invited Doris to do some stuff with the MLMIA because, again, I was no longer working with the ANMP, and they had a different narrative than I had. They were more along the line of, I'm going to use the cliche term, celebrating the industry. I was more along the line of protecting and advocating for the industry. And as a result of that, I was doing some stuff with the MLMIA and other places as well. That's what I've been kind of doing. And then we've morphed from the lead generation business to more of the radio shows and advertising and promoting. So my cliched word is I'm pro MLM when it's done right, and I'm anti MLM when it's done wrong. And that's been consistent since I've been in this industry.
Now, what about was Tony Canuli one of your partners?
He was one of the guest hosts because he was actively involved with the MLMIA. And I hate to say it, Tom, we're both getting old enough where a lot of people that we remember are no longer around. Because
Yeah.
Doris died. Now she was older, so she died. I think she was in her 90s, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Tony Canuli, on the other hand, was much younger, and he passed away recently as well, within the last couple of years.
Yeah. Did you know Jeff Weisberg?
Not really, no.
Weisberg loved him. Weisberg loved him. I mean, I've known him a long time. I knew Tony a long time, and I knew you. And obviously, I think about Rod Cook, who is obviously passed on to, and his wife Marcy, who's in a memory care facility. And it's very difficult in her life now. I'm actually reached out to her son yesterday, but we got to keep those memories alive, and that's important because a lot of people forged the road before us, right?
They did. Yeah. So when I was, me and you set up this radio show maybe a month ago. So I've had a lot of time to think about all the things we could possibly talk about. And taking a look at your title, Legacy Leadership, I said, I think I want to spend a little time on, Memory Road, us old guys, if you will, the ones that did a lot of stuff, but weren't the first ones. You kind of remember the people that were here before us. So I'll use a specific example and kind of weave in how me and you met. I knew about you through the home business radio show they used to do. So you've got one of the longest running radio shows ever in this industry, if not the longest one, and consistent for sure. So there was a lot of things going on in the early 2000s. Distributors were being terminated for no reason. And that cost me money. And you'd say, how would it cost you money? Well, I was in the lead generation business, and when a distributor gets fired, he doesn't need, or she doesn't need, leads to buy. And if they were a leader, it causes a lot of chaos. So there was a big ripple effect that happened when things were going on in the industry. And I'll throw out some names here innocently. Sandy Cohen had called me up, and she says, and Sandy Cohen was with Zango at the time, but before that, she was with Free Life. And David and Collie Butler with Free Life too, with Ray Falkowski. And, these are old names that many people may not know about anymore, but they were really big way back then. And David and Collie were kind of financially destroyed because they decided to join another network marketing company. And Free Life really went after them. And there were some other people as well that had basically had their lives destroyed by their MLM company going after them. So Sandy told me about a meeting in Las Vegas that Rod Cook was putting together. And I knew who Rod Cook was because he was the MLM watchdog. He had a website called MLMwatchdog.com. And please, Tom, interrupt me anytime you want to answer.
No, this is so great. You're making me smile because you've actually done some pre-work, which is unusual for my guests or myself, and I'm in love with you. So keep it going.
Okay. So Sandy Cohen called me up and she said, there's this guy named Rod Cook, who's the MLM watchdog, and he's going to be doing a meeting for distributors and distributor rights and talking about contracts and working together with companies and things like that. And I knew Rod Cook from the MLM watchdog. Now, we're talking about the Wild West of the internet. Rod Cook basically built his own website. He was an ex-military vet. You either loved Rod Cook or you hated Rod Cook. He could make or break your career based on whatever he put on your website. And he was everything. He was the crazy man. Like if you were going to do a 6 o'clock door knock on a house like a SWAT, you'd want Rod Cook because he'd have the battering ram and he'd be blowing into that house first, not understanding or worrying about what was behind the door, but he was going to go in first. So he was crazy. He was from Vietnam. He probably still had some shrapnel in his head. I'm saying this all affectionately. He was wild, and he would post these things. If you're
he would drink, but he would also drink the stupid juice until about 2 o'clock in the morning and start typing, and that was even more fun.
Well, that you're reading my mind, and I'm glad you said what I was going to hold back on. You knew that basically the bottle fell from his hand at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when he hit the submit button, because what he wrote, no one would write sober. I mean, it was
great. Awesome. Yeah, those were the days.
And here was the problem. If Rod Cook put his crosshairs on you, your company was dead, because whatever he posted on the MLM watchdog, that's why I say people loved him and people hated him. So when Sandy told me that Rod was doing a meeting, I said to myself, Rod Cook doesn't know who Peter Mingils is from afar. If he points his crosshairs at me for whatever reason, right or wrong, I'm screwed as a company. So I figured I got to go meet the guy and at least shake his hand. So I figured if he knows who I am, he'll see that I'm a good guy. Because he was working with people like Kevin Lehman, who ran ProStep, and those are names that
no one even thinks about
anymore. Yeah. So Troy Dooley, for those people that are familiar with Troy used to be one of the inside guys working for ProStep. But if Rod Cook threw his crosshairs at you, you were screwed. So when I flew out to see him, I met people like yourself. And I met people like, of course, Sandy Cohen, who I had only met, by selling her leads and helping her build the business. And I met other people as well. Jimmy Smith, Jimmy the Butcher, and a whole bunch of other really great people. John Hammock was there. Brian McMullen was there. A whole bunch of other people were there as well. And they decided that they were going to form an organization, and they called it the DRA, the Distributor Rights Association, which name was somewhat problematic because people thought that distributor rights meant only distributor rights, and that companies, it was almost basically like a union of distributors against companies, and that's what it was not. But it was trying to educate distributors on what they were signing or what they shouldn't sign in their contract for non-competes, cross-recruiting, selling a business, a whole bunch of other things as well. And that's kind of like how we first got started. So you took a position like with membership, or we gave each other titles. I was the distributor, distributor of training for a while, and we did conference calls on stuff like what's in a contract. And, what are some of the good things and the bad things about the industry? And there was a time where Rod Cook really could not be the face of the DRA because no companies would join because they hated Rod Cook. Because, again, for the examples that we used, and they asked me to be the face of the Distributor Rights Association, become the president. I was building my business. I was doing a whole bunch of other things as well, relative to the industry, but not building a distributorship. And I said, okay, I can do it because I'm neutral. I'm not building a business. There's no conflict of interest. I know how to build MLM companies. I owned one as well. That's another story. But the reality is that I was somewhat neutral, and I could be the face of the Distributor Rights Association. And I said, but I'm only doing this part-time. I can't do it as my full-time thing. Number one, it didn't pay anything. Number two is I had to raise a family. And I just said, I'll stay here until somebody else can take the realm. I'll hold it together. So that's what I did for a number of years. Then they changed the name to the ANMP because they figured the Distributor Rights Association was really distributor-oriented in the minds of the companies. So they figured maybe the Association of Network Marketing Professionals would be more appealing to the industry. So I understood that. But I was always staying, if you will, as an advocate for the MLM industry. And we'll talk about that if you want to add anything on your own.
Okay, so history aside, and Rod Cook, John, I talked to Hammock this morning. I have tried to call Troy. Troy's doing something new. He hooked up with somebody, and he's actually like the co-publisher of something or another, but I'm not exactly positive what it is. Every time I talk to him, he's busier than heck, which is very, very good news. You've got Business for Home now bought by Armand, and all the editor-in-chief and the co-editor-in-chief are Garrett and Sylvia McGraw. And if anybody has seen that website recently, someone put it in the chat. They have really populated that thing with some tremendous articles. Al Bala wrote a beautiful one. Donna Johnson wrote a beautiful one. They are building like crazy toward their convention in August. And I truly believe that that little tiny band of misfits that we were way back then finally hitting the stride that we need to hit, called getting the boys to understand that an association needs to be in place to serve and protect the distributors, and we have to unite. And I believe that you were a major part of that, Peter, and I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. Well, that's also part of the story.
Yeah.
When Rod was around, and I hope some of the anti-MLM crowd listens to this because they don't know the history. When Rod Cook was around, the FTC decided that they were going to change the business opportunity rule. And Rod really took offense to a lot of the things that were in the business opportunity rule. And he, true to his form, wanted to sue the FTC. So remember, I'm the president at the time. He's the guy who's going to knock in the doors first and ask questions later. So he's threatening to sue the FTC. I get a phone call from the FTC who says, you guys are threatening to sue us. Can we just do a workshop instead? I said, yes, we'll do a workshop instead. And that's where Rod Cook and Marcy Cook went and visited with the FTC in Washington, D.C. and banged out some of the issues that helped to exclude MLM from the business opportunity rulings where it could be excluded. Well, there was a gentleman named John Taylor, and this may not mean anything to you, Tom, but it will mean a lot to the anti-MLM community. There was a guy that was there on the other side, John Taylor. And if we can take Rod Cook's word for it, Rod Cook basically put him in his place in front of the FTC. It might be Rod calling from heaven. So, hold on 1 second. So Rod Cook really put John Taylor in his place because John Taylor deserved to be put in his place. Now, John Taylor is the equivalent of, I don't want to use a religious analogy, but he's the Jesus of income disclosures when it comes to the FTC and all the anti-MLM crowd who never understood who John Taylor really was or what he did. So we'll talk about that as we continue our radio show. But Rod Cook was one of the biggest people that put John Taylor in place with the FTC. So we fought that ruling. This might be an emergency. I'm not taking calls. I'm just making sure that I'm... These are all the foreign telemarketers that are calling me, so I'm hanging up on them.
Is like so stupid. Take the damn thing off the hook.
I can't.
Good God. All right, keep going.
I'll just hit the button. So, hey, the reality is as you know, Tom, I beat to my own drum. You know what I mean? So that's
You sure as heck do.
All right, so anyway, so the challenge with the industry, I have found, and this is something that somebody's got to figure out. And I have my own ways of figuring this out, maybe, but it's this concept of the income disclosure and where it fits in the value to the MLM industry. So to backtrack on this, I got to go back a little bit with my background before MLM. I graduated from college with pre-med. I didn't know if I wanted to be a doctor. Matter of fact, I didn't know how to be a doctor. I was still in my young 20s with no one to really talk to about being a doctor. So I decided that, I started to do the math. Another 4 years of medical school, 2 years of internship. Crap, I'm going to be 30 years old and heavily in debt. And this is in the 80s, before I become a doctor. I figured maybe there's a better way to get ahead. So I wound up getting involved with Electrolux, a vacuum cleaner company, and in their management training program. And I know that there's not many people that aspire to be vacuum cleaner salesmen that graduate with biology and chemistry degrees, but I certainly didn't. But the opportunity really looked good. And I was young and I was looking for a way to build my resume. And I figured I'll do this. If it's what they say it's going to be, this will be good for me. If it's a fake or a fraud or whatever, it's not good for me, I'll quit. I can make the adjustments along the way. But I got to build my resume. So after a lot of hard work in direct selling. Now, this is direct selling. We used to knock on a door, get into a house, overcome all the objections, close the sale. I wound up making 50 somewhat sales in my second full month, which was a big month for the company. And I made about $10,000. And I said, okay, so where am I going? Like, if I can make 10 grand in my second month, I could probably do that again. So there was an opportunity for me to climb a corporate ladder as well, where I could run one of my own stores, but they weren't mine. They were the company's own, but I got 50% of the profit. And for 11 plus years, I both stayed in that industry in direct sales and climbed the corporate ladder, where I went from 5 to 35 to 96 separate stores as an area vice president. So I knew direct selling probably better than most people because I lived direct selling. And as an area vice president, I could still go out and did, lots of people will attest to this, knock on a door, get in, sell a vacuum, be able to bring back to the next meeting. So this was the way I earned credibility, as well as I stayed sharp with what was going on in the field. So the reason why I say that, oh, and by the way, Electrolux had a small MLM compensation plan. I think it was in 1988 to 1989 called Superlink. So that was when I was first introduced to MLM. So when I came to the MLM world, I came from the direct sales perspective. We knocked on doors, we got in. We were there to sell a product and build a team. That's all we needed to do. Sell a product and build a bigger team. Everything else was covered by the company, and it didn't make me any money anyway. I didn't get profit on human resources, or I didn't make any profit on any of the other things. I was just there to sell my next product, teach people how to do the same thing, and build a bigger team. And if you don't think the word recruit, recruit, recruit came out of my mouth every day, the biggest sales force that I could develop was the better thing for me. And what did we do? We sold a product. So that was my mantra into the MLM world. So you could be, how would I say, understanding of my surprise when I would come into MLM and listen to their conference calls or their other things. And here was, oh, it's easy. Anybody can do it. I'm like, really? Oh, it's easy. All you have to do is talk to your friends, neighbors, and relatives. Oh, really? It's easy? Like it just happens like this? It's like instant? Oh, two, who'll get two, who'll get two, who'll get two. And I'm like, where the hell did you get that calculator? That's not the way it ever worked for me. Like, you people are screwy. So I figured I'm going to try to change the industry from the inside out. There's good things about this industry. There's some things that need to be polished up. And that's why I got actively involved in the trade association, including with the Distributor Rights Association and eventually ANMP. Now, where do I come back to this long, winding story about income disclosure statement? If you would have said to me, oh, the FTC, when I was with Electrolux, the FTC is looking for an income disclosure statement. I'm like, okay, how about if you work and, when you work your ass off, you do 3 demos a day and you do them the right way, you probably make a sale a day, you make a comfortable living. If you do the right thing and you build a bigger team, you can run an office and maybe eventually run a branch. How's that? Oh, no, that's not going to work. Well, why is that going to work? That's the truth. Got to come in, you got to do 3 or 4 demos a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Commit yourself towards learning, to becoming better, and you can make 50,000 or 100,000 a year. So why can't that be our income disclosure statement? Like, if you don't do that, it won't work out. I mean, we're not high in rocket science. Why won't that work? Well, no, we want to see the numbers. Well, the numbers are misleading. What the hell do you want to see the numbers for? Joey Bag of Donuts over here, he signed the bonding app but never showed up again. What are his numbers worth? His numbers don't even count. Sally Smith over here, she did 3 demos. Some of them were to her friends and they loved the product. And then she quit because, somebody knocked on the door. When she knocked on the door, they said something bad. She left. So her numbers don't count. Like, her numbers don't count. Well, we want this in your income disclosure statement. I said, your income disclosure statement is going to be deceptive. It's never going to tell the true story. The true story is 4 demos a day, 3 demos a day, learn how to do the right demos, learn what a demo is, because a demo is not just showing up or talking about a lot of stuff. Learn a demo, and you're going to be able to make a sale a day. Sale a day keeps the finance guy away, let me tell you. And you'll make 50 or 100,000 bucks a year. If you're a branch manager and you could teach a whole bunch of people, part-time and full-time, to do the same, you can make 100,000. Why was I an area VP? Because I couldn't make 200,000 a year as a salesman. I had to do it by building a sales force. Couldn't do it in sales. I wanted 200,000 a year. Only way you could do it as a sales manager. Had to sell and build a bigger team. So that was what my brain was conditioned to when I came into this industry. So the FTC says, we want your income disclosure. What's the point? It's misleading. It doesn't even tell the true story. Matter of fact, it tells an anti-story because it's going to dissuade people from taking a look at this industry. So back to John Taylor. For all you MLM people, the income disclosure statement, I hope the FTC is listening. Maybe they can see my point, which is a realistic point. Why do you want to know? You want to know what my chances are of being successful. What do I need to do? Let's give you a real income disclosure. You do the work, you show the products, you try the products, you find customers. Some of them are going to want to do what you do. That whole positive chaos mess is how you build a business. And you can make a ton of money from people working part-time. And if you're making a whole bunch of money for people working part-time, they're happy. They're learning about health, nutrition, technology, running a business, self-development, all that sort of great stuff. It is the best industry, period, bar none. And most of you people screw it up because you do it all the wrong way. So I have no idea. So Tom, I'll let you comment on that, and I'm going to continue to come back to John Taylor.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What if so the wrong way is what you just talked about. But what's the right way? I mean, you've been around this business a long time. You're in the leads business. So you know that game and you know that obviously you buy a lead, then you turn the lead into a relationship and the relationship becomes a business partner or a customer. What is the right way? I mean, how, if you were going to play this game again at your ripe old age of however old you are, what
Almost
would you
63.
do? And do you believe that it can still be done in this network marketing model the way they're doing it today?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the network marketing model. There's a problem with the way people are doing it.
Yeah.
So the very straightforward way is, let's say, for instance, you have a product that's going to help people lose weight, and you're talking to people anywhere. You're all social media freaks now. You know, you got your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever else it is that you want to be on. You got people all over the place. If you talk to people that are, heavier, they want to lose weight, or they might give you a tip one way or another, just tell them about what you do and ask them if they want to try a product. Say, and there's several paths you're going to take. Number one, if you listen to me and you hear the stuff, you might want to try the product as a customer. Number two, you might be looking to also make some extra money or be able to get that product at a discount or be able to offset your product cost by earning commissions and getting it free, quote unquote. So you might want to become a distributor, either part-time or full-time. Or you might want to do nothing at all. So if you just show people and give them those three options, they'll do one of those three things. They'll do nothing at all, and they'll still be your friend. They'll either buy the product because it sounds good to them, and or they might want to do the product and become a distributor as well. And the cream of the crop are going to want to really go for it and make this into a career. So is that still the same as it was, 50 or 60 years ago? Absolutely. Should it be easier? Absolutely. Do you have to embellish on it and make it sound better than it is? No, that's the stuff that gets you in trouble. So, it's easier now, Tom, than I think ever before. And it's the people that do it the wrong way that make it harder.
It's
So that's
easier
why
than it's ever been by a long shot.
it's easier.
Back when we were sending out just 8-track tapes, I mean, you had to buy them and you had to ship them and it was expensive. To today where nothing goes out in the mail anymore. You've got it completely done electronically. Yet people still think that they can use some high-tech deal to sign somebody up with a click and become a billionaire. And I personally believe that you need to use tech for high touch, not use tech to replace high touch. Do you agree with that?
1,000,000%.
That's
So
cool. We're on the
let's
same
go.
page.
So if you think of the phases of working a lead, you have to, first of all, you sell yourself, and then you kind of show them a little bit about why they might need it. And then you're going to have to, they'll say, well, what's this all about? We all know that if you have to sit there and try to explain every single thing to every single person, you're not going to be able to do as many demos as you should. So you have to transfer that information somehow. And technology has allowed you to transfer that information instantly. Whereas before, like you were talking about, you'd have to mail something and then call back a couple of days later, find out it's still sitting on top of the television. And I don't think anything fits on top of televisions anymore because they're usually mounted to a wall. But if you remember, they used to be on a stand. So you'd have to find them, and then they'd say, oh, yeah, and then it cost you whatever it was to send out a priority mail package. Then you could fax it to them and get the information there faster. Or then you could email it to them. Now you can send a video. So the speed of that transfer is instant now. And the communication and the follow-up is instant now, which theoretically means it should be easier than ever before. You could talk to more people. But I still think you need that high tech and high touch because we're still people. And I think that really makes a big difference. And what I've learned, I'll just use this as an example with my leads business. The very worst customer that I have is the one that I didn't have to sell. The one that went to my website, bought it on their own with no involvement based on me. They're the worst customer I have.
Yeah.
And, you might say, well, people that are technology driven say, wait a minute, you didn't have to do anything for that sale. And I'd say, I made a transaction. That's all I did. I didn't make a customer, probably lost a customer. because they're not going to ever plug into what we do. They'll never take advantage of who we are and what we do to help them. They'll never take the training, or worse, they'll take the wrong training, maybe by their upline. But they're my worst customer. My best customer is one that I bond and connect, and they kind of get to know me and they learn a little bit more about what we do, because I help them build their business just like their upline is supposed to be able to help their business and their company. We're all pushing together. But for people that want to automate that sign up and that sign in and that buying process, that's the worst customer distributor you have.
Everybody's in a conversation today to make it easier. I'm not sure that I agree with that. It might be we need to make it more real and let people have a chance at understanding that there's a process to building an organization, and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow if they accomplish those things by, you talked about the people that just want to buy the product. That's the customer. The person that wants to just make a couple $100 or $1,000 a month, that's probably just a distributor. And then you've got those 4 or 5 influencers that really want to step on the gas pedal that we're all living to train. But you've got to go through calling a lot of people every day for a very, very long time to sift through that. And it's not easy, but it's worth it, right?
Absolutely. There's a couple of things that happen. Number one, when you work a lead, you get better at what you do. So you refine your process, you refine how you explain things, what goes on in your head after you hang up, or they hang up, or it works out, or it doesn't work out, all helps you better understand the industry. You understand the tools better. You understand how you did it right and when you did it wrong, or how you might be able to do it differently, or maybe different people's perspectives or how people work. You get stronger by working more people, whether it's a lead from me or anything generated on your own or anywhere else, doesn't matter. The idea that you're talking to enough people and you're doing more demos, the better and stronger you get, and the stronger a leader you're going to be. And I hate to tell you, but that sucks. And when I say that sucks, I mean, sure, you don't always hear it cha-ching, but you made an investment in yourself that you're probably going to use later on. And I can prove that a million times over, because I've learned a lot by the people that I've worked with that worked out. I probably learned more from the people that didn't work out because it challenged me to think differently or better or whatever. I've learned from our critics. I've learned from just being involved. And to take away that involvement would make me so much worse as a potential leader and as a business owner. So I get it. You want the easier path. Who wouldn't? But the reality is that that's not the reality.
So how is it that you have such an absolute passion of going toe to toe with the people that hate this profession so much, the anti-MLM people? What's that all about?
So like I said a little bit earlier, when MLM is done right, it's great. When MLM is done wrong, it's not great. So the anti-MLM crowd serve a purpose. If somebody's making false claims, like medical claims, and they're wrong and they're exaggerated or worse, that's bad. So even the people that are pro MLM should take note of that. And if people are, there's some people that say, like I'll use you as an example. You've made a lot of money in this industry. If somebody says, I'm going to quit my full-time job because my upline, Tom Chenault, made $1 million last year. Well, that's a false premise that they think they're going to be able to do what you did in the next 3 months. It's not going to happen for the most part, unless something weird happens. It's not going to happen. So I'm against false income claims, false lifestyle claims, all of that sort of stuff. And if I were an anti-MLM person, if I only focused on that, I'd be okay with the anti-MLM crowd. But they take it to the next level. They get personal. They slander. They defame people. I showed you a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, a video that, and I'm not going to name names, you'll be able to find this on your own, but I shared with you, Tom, a video that was made by a girl who was so mean, not just mean-spirited, but also defamed, slandered, bashed, lied about, I'd slander, if I didn't say it again, who deserved to be shut up by a lawsuit. It's just not right. So if I was saying really horrible things about Tom Chenal, but I was saying things that were bad, then not just bad, that's a value judgment. I'm talking like illegal bad. Then that person should be sued or silenced. And unfortunately, the anti-MLM crowd, they take what's critical about the industry and just can't stop there. They got to go that much further and that much worse. So they say things like all MLM is fraud. All MLM are commercial cults. They say things like MLM products are no good. They're just overpriced to be able to handle a compensation plan. You can buy them anywhere. They don't do anything. They can't possibly help you. And they say things like that that are just not besides bad value or judgment. They're actually slanderous. Then they actually start lying about people. And that's what this one gal did about somebody that And I just said, this isn't right. This just isn't right. And unfortunately, there's an echo chamber and they all lie about the same things. And they should be shut down. So there's people that have been sued by Primerica. There's people that have been sued by World Financial Group, even, IM Academy and other companies that have sued people as well, just to kind of silence them. So if they had a critical voice, I'd be okay with it, but they just take it to the next level. And I don't really sit by and let that happen, because I think if you're anybody in this industry and you care about this industry, you have to fight back. And you have to fight back. So we've done that in both open and covert ways. So
talk to me about your radio shows, your podcasts. I mean, I think you're bigger in that world of being that defender of the profession than literally anybody out there, because every day you are airing something to speak out against that injustice. Talk about the shows, how they find them, all that.
Sure. So we have buildingfortunesradio.com, and there's over, believe it or not, there's 12,600 somewhat episodes. So that's a lot of 30, 60, or 90-minute episodes. So 12,000. If you started today, like if you wanted to be my competitor, it would take a half of a lifetime to try to catch up.
Sure.
So especially with all the different people. So you go to buildingfortunesradio.com. And then we talk about a whole bunch of different things regarding entrepreneurship and being in this industry. And we've done this for so long. We've interviewed so many different types of people. You can find a lot of really great examples. So I'm constantly beating that drum. I bought MLM.news and multilevelmarketing.news. So the .news websites I bought. And I applaud, I don't know the gentleman who bought businessforhome.org, but it's a crappy domain name. It's the worst domain name you can find. Buy something else, because who's going to find it? And it was run by a guy named Ted, who I have questionable respect for. But the reality is it looks like they might clean up their act. So, and the reason why I have questionable respect for the old owners is because they promoted a lot of frauds. So, crazy stuff. They're bad for the business. But that's what his industry was. So, pay to play. Ted Knighton, way to go. So he sold out. Hopefully his health is okay. But I don't know the gentleman who started or who bought it now. And I wish them luck, because anybody who's pro MLM, I'm for. So, and I think he's going to do it the right way. At least I hope they do.
I hope you'll look at that site, because they have turned that thing into positivity. There is absolutely no under the table stuff, agenda, or anything else going on. And it's getting better every day.
Yep.
And
so buy a different domain name. That domain name sucks.
Yeah, you're not in love with the domain. What I heard from somebody that would know what they're talking about is that particular website's got 2 million unique visitors to it, which is a ton, and changing it would be really, really difficult because they've already got it. I mean, how do you go overcome that?
It sucks. Yep.
So
what do you do when you buy America online? And you want to go global? You bought the wrong domain name. Anyway, right. So they'll change it around in spite of that. So I hope everything works out, because anybody that's pro MLM, I'm okay with. and it appears like they're going to be doing the right things, and I'm sure they will. So if I can help at all, I'll help, but I doubt that'll happen. But
No, we want your help. Number one, we'd love to have you write an article. Number two, all of you out there, if you want to write articles for Business for Home that pertain to the profession that are either news or really, really well written, get your word right. I mean, we have got to make some noise out there about how great this profession is. And Peter's doing it. Peter's putting his money where his mouth is. He has for many, many years. And, hop on his websites. Take a how do you want people to reach you, Peter?
You can always call. And
we noticed a few people do call you once in a while. What's up?
Yeah, we know. We got a couple of them. I hung up on them. So if you were calling, I'm sorry.
What's the phone number?
386.
386.
864.
864.
1928. See, they're calling
1928. Yeah. So you guys, Michelle, if you wrote that down, if we can put that on the screen, that would be really, really great. But Peter's the man. He answers his phone. He follows up. When you buy something from him, he trains you on what you bought, and he's the real deal. And he's the kind of guy that works all the time. He doesn't do it part-time. He doesn't do it full-time. He does it all the time at a level you would not believe. And he's not real fancy. You just saw a rotary phone in his hand. I mean, that thing had the dialer and the cord against the wall, the whole shot. The guy is a by-the-book dinosaur that does what he says he's going to do before he said he was going to do it. And I think he's the kind of guy you want to do business with. And as far as trying to learn a little bit, so he's in the leads business, don't be afraid to contact him. And his phone number, I still don't see his phone number in the comments. So Peter, it's 386, but I don't remember the rest.
Tom, I don't know if you can see this. Where am I? Let's see.
I can't.
Oh, here we go. So you see this?
Yeah, what is it?
This is my golf clicker.
Oh, good.
So when I make a phone call, I click it. It increases the number. I go like this, and I click it again, and it advances the number. So it's something that golfers use to keep score. It's something that I use to keep track of how many phone calls I made that day.
You're kidding. You're still using that.
This is my high tech.
You are a mess. This is not staged. Here's the sponsor of the show, for the record, is Contact Mapping. And today's kind of a weak day for me, but I use the same thing, except I use a little tech. And you can see that I have had 47 conversations with 2 brand new people that I completely mapped. So I'm not using the egg timer. I'm not using the clacker. It's unbelievable. And that is very cute. And Richard Brook just signed on. I texted him earlier because I wanted, Peter, you were talking about John Taylor and your ongoing conversation with him. And I think that Brook was just in a real big conversation with a bunch of those anti-MLMers. And really, you would have been proud of him. And I want to shout out to the brave people like Richard and like Peter who are not afraid. And Eric Worre also has said that he'll debate anybody publicly on the merits of this profession. But guys like you are not including me, guys like you and Richard have the intellect and the desire to go head to head with those people and win. I am proud of Richard. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of Eric. What do you think about that?
I think that's good. So the one last thing before we run out of time, and I'm going to go back to John Taylor because this is for the anti-MLM crowd. They pull their whole argument about, or most of their whole argument about MLM on the income disclosure statement and the ones that John Taylor did in the 1980s or 1970s. So they don't even know what John Taylor is. And they're praising him as if he's Jesus. And he was not. And his research was flawed because they did everything based on whatever he assumed was the compensation plan or the income disclosure statement. So their whole premise about how 99% of the market doesn't make any money in MLM is flawed. And that's what we need to debate. Like, we need a better way to be able to send that message that not everybody's going to make it. And that's the way it is in life. But the reality is that doesn't mean that this industry is bad or that all MLM is a commercial cult or is fraud. So There you go. So I appreciate you allowing me to be here. I don't know when we're going to run out of time. But if anybody needs to,
we're not on. Here we've got Brooke on here again, who hated the commercial so bad. I finally fired the clock, so we don't have a clock anymore. So we're not going to commercial. So I can do so much more with the show inside of the hour, Peter.
Okay.
Depending on how I like you. So
Okay.
the typical show with Brooke is like 25 minutes, and you're now at 51 minutes, and you're still on. So that's very good. And he also wanted you to mention your leads and where you get your leads and why your leads are different.
Well, the leads is on NetworkLeads.com. So it's a domain name. My first domain name I ever bought in 1998 was NetworkLeads.com, and you can go there and find a lot of information there. Or BuildingFortunes.com is another one. It's the same thing, it's just our affiliate site. So we've done leads in every single way possible, everything from lists to leads and everything in between. So you can go there and get some information, and we'll run out of time. But I'll share with you, I've swayed away from the leads business and pushed more towards the radio shows and our classified sites and driving traffic to websites, because the industry has moved. A lot of you guys don't want to call leads. You'll call people that have filled out your form. You'll call people that have, visited you on your social media, have been to your website. So we really push towards traffic and promotion. And I'm going to call it reputation management or credibility building, what people see when they look you up. So I've actually slowed down on the leads business and amped up the websites, the classified ad sites, and the traffic.
Well, we love you, Peter, and we are going to get out of here. We do have a gift for you. This was given to you by the sponsor of the show, which happens to be the Authentic Networker. Oh, no, it's actually by NowSite and Contact Mapping. And this sweatshirt says, fire your brain, hire your heart. Or you can have a t-shirt, because I know you're down in Florida and you don't wear sweatshirts. But Michelle will find out your size, what color you want. And we would love to have you back again. And maybe we just do a panel with you and Richard Brooke and a few more brave people and really put the rubber to the road and talk about why this profession is so great and what's so unbelievable about it. And thank you.
Absolutely. And, we did this one for legacy leadership down memory lane. Maybe this time, with a panel, we can talk about how do you handle yourself in 2025 with the technology that's out there.
Yeah. And if you want to buy one of these sweatshirts, I forgot to tell you this because I get a little money if you buy one and I need the money. It is swag.contactmapping.com. Swag.contactmapping.com. And you can buy one of these sweatshirts too. And they're pretty fun. And I wear them everywhere and people seem to love me. So I think you are awesome. I can't thank all of you enough for watching this show without Adrian. I think I paid attention, and that is awesome too, because I usually don't, because Adrian's doing all the work. So Peter, I love you. You have a phenomenal day, and I'll call you later.
Thank you.
All right, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
All right, what do you say? Yeah, carry on the greatness, Peter. Unbelievable. And Michelle, you've got to hang this up. I don't have the button. There you go.